Hey, I'm Chris the Pinball Noob, and I'm trying to fix some problems I'm having with unreliable lights in this Bally Evel Knievel from 1977. And I'm holding here in my hand 50 replacement lights. Let me explain. So I was going through the whole game, and I made a list of all the bulbs that were out. As you can see, lots of them are out in the back box. I ended up with a pretty long list of bulbs. And I was thinking, wow, the lamp driver board must be really messed up. I'm going to have to pull it out and do a bunch of soldering to remove the transistors and replace them and all this stuff. Because I already checked all the bulbs, and so I know those are good. I repinned all the connectors, so those should be good. So in my mind, that meant the only thing that was left was the lamp driving board. But I watched a couple videos, and one thing they said you need to check are the lamp sockets. They said if your lamp sockets are loose and they spin, that means they're probably bad and they're not going to work. So I remember a lot of the lamp sockets being loose and spinning. So I, out of curiosity, started messing with these bulbs. And sure enough, almost all of them, if you fidget with them, they come on. Which means for like 20 bulbs in this game, I'm going to have to go through and try to fix all the lamp sockets. So that's probably going to take a while. It also explains why things like the S in Super work sometimes and not others. I'm still not sure if it's why the red arrows don't work. I'm going to check that next. But it might be why all of these are not working. So apparently Bally used really cheap, crappy lamp sockets. And this is a really common problem on a lot of them. So there are some fixes that involve like filing them down with a Dremel tool and soldering them together. So I might try some of that, or I might just, I don't know. I need to figure something out because there are a lot of bulbs out and I know they should be working. Well, would you look at that? All the lamp sockets in the head are now working. And I did no wire work, no soldering. All I did was wiggle.
Fruit salad, yummy, yummy.
That's right. All I had to do was go in and wiggle each of these, and with enough determination, they all came back on. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm thinking if this thing gets jiggled enough, half of these bulbs are going to go back out again. So yeah, people warned me that these sockets were bad, but I guess I didn't realize just how bad they actually were. Oh, look, you can see this guy right here is going in and out. There he goes. Wiggle him a little bit and he's on. So yeah, that's concerning. I think the only surefire way to fix that would be to replace all the sockets. I could also try the soldering trick that I've seen in some videos online. Anyway, I'm going to open up the playfield and see if a similar thing happens down here. If I can get all the bulbs at least working, then that means nothing's wrong with the lamp driver board. So that would be good. It just means I have a lot of really bad sockets. So here's a good example of what I'm talking about with these sockets. You can see this bulb right here is not on. And all the ones around it are. But you can see the socket is loose in the little mounting bracket. In a case like this, where it's just too separated, it's not making good enough contact, there's a hack. Oh, there you go. It came on. But you solder them across so that it makes full contact and you get the bulb coming back on. Because while this is working right now, all it takes is a little movement, and now it's back off again. So that's what I'm dealing with. I went through and tested, even got some of the red arrow lights working. All the super lights are working. So as far as I can tell, there's not any problem with the lamp driver board. It's just these pesky old sockets. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do about that. But at least I think that means all the wiring and the boards are good. I messed around with some of the lamp hacks I was talking about. I just couldn't get them to be reliable all the time. So I went ahead and ordered some Yopsicles. And once those arrive, I'll go ahead and get those installed. And hopefully that should fix all the lamp issues I'm having in the game. So like I said, this board contains 50 replacement lights for this Bally Evel Knievel. And each of these little sticks that you break off of this board replace one old bulb and socket inside the game. They're called Yopsicles. They were designed by a guy named David Yopp. And they're designed for these 70s and 80s Bally games that had these really unreliable lamp sockets that just went out all the time. So these sticks replace the lamp sockets, and they're completely reliable, and they should look pretty similar to the original lights. These are warm whites, so they should fit right in with the warm whites already installed in this cabinet. So let me show you what it looks like to replace some bulbs with these Yopsicles. All right, so here's the plan. You snap these little boards out from the big board there, and then what's going to happen is where you see the little yellow diode, that's going to replace the old bulb. And there's actually a little target on the board that shows you where the new diode is going to be, so you can kind of center it. You can center it in the hole where it's supposed to go, like that. When I removed the old lamp socket, the wire you see there that's soldered to the base of the socket, that's gonna get soldered to the metal plate on the board here, and it's gonna screw in using the same old screw there. And then the lead going to the top of the socket, that goes to the pad up there. So overall, it should be a pretty easy replacement. It's just going to be a lot of desoldering the old ones and replacing with the new ones, because this game has a lot of sockets. So all of these are going to need to be replaced because they are all pretty unreliable.
I'm Evel Knievel. I'm Evel Knievel. I'm Evel Knievel.
So that's one installed there. It wasn't too bad. It's a little tricky soldering at this angle. You can see at the bottom here. Had a little bit of a hard time getting the solder to actually stick to that bottom wire. But I think the target is right in the middle. So that should be pretty good. I'm going to try running some power to it and see if it's working. With the lamp test running, you can see it's working just right. So I'm going to go ahead, start doing these other ones. You can see there's a whole bunch right there that should be flashing that aren't. So that's my first goal, is to get this whole bank here done.
I'm a man who's strapped in pink leather duds. I'm a messenger thrown from heavens above. But I wish that I'd insured this bike. I'm with the helmet, I'm crashing inside. I'm Evel Knievel. I'm Evel Knievel. I'm Evel Knievel. I can taste my heart as I look at the hill. Can't you get some guts in a pill? Toward the ramp, gotta keep going this way. I hope my fans don't wanna replay. Yeah. I'm Evel Knievel. Yeah.
Well, it took a while, but I got the whole bottom of the playfield completed. Got both of the out lanes done and the full strip up the middle. So that's everything kind of below the super lights. Like I said, it took a little while. I think the hardest part was taking the old sockets off and not dripping solder everywhere. Ideally, you'd do this you'd lay the playfield down flat, but because everything's already in place, I didn't want to do that. So it wasn't too bad. I think putting each of the Yoppsicles on was actually pretty easy. And let's go ahead and test them out and see how they look. Well, this is interesting. I got everything working except for these two, and I'm not sure why. So that could be something on the lamp driver board, but I'm going to do the rest before I start troubleshooting other light issues. But it looks like everything else is looking pretty good. Let's see how it looks on top. All right, here's the lower playfield with the Yoppsicles installed. Again, these two are not working for some reason. I need to pull out the schematic and see what's controlling those. The double bonus is also really dim for some reason. It might be related. I'm not sure. The shoot again is really bright. You can actually see the Yoppsicle through the insert, which I'm not crazy about, but you could see the bulb through it before anyway, so it's not a huge deal. But you can also see just how bright the new white ones are compared to the incandescent white ones. So definitely an improvement there. I'm looking forward to doing this whole strip here because you really want these to work in the game. The arrows pointing to the super letters is like a core part of the gameplay. So I'm looking forward to getting all those working and all those up there. So yeah, just keep going, I guess. Got about 25 lights left to do on the playfield here. You can see the whole line of arrows there with the super under it, and then the side targets there. These ones are going to be tricky actually under the drop targets over here because they've got that metal bracket covering about half of the insert. So I'm going to have to be careful about how I position the Yoppsicles on those. And then, of course, down here, the super targets, some of the rollovers. So just a little bit left to do. Actually, more than what I did before, but this is the last of it. I've used that many Yoppsicles so far. Like I said, about 25 to go here. Let's get this done. So there's the middle bank all done and working well, which is nice because these sockets were particularly flaky and it seemed like 2 or 3 of them were always out no matter how I fiddled with them. So it's nice to see those all working. It's worth noting I did go in and clean every insert with a Q-tip before doing this. It's nice when you have the sockets or the bulbs off just to get them nice and clean. So they're clear and they show more light. So anyway, time to do those ones, which I'm kind of not looking forward to. We'll see how it goes. My camera died, so I didn't catch all of that, but it's not that exciting anyway. It's just the same thing over and over. But you can see, almost done with all the Yoppsicles, and everything is flashing. I did these 2 down here also. I haven't done the cluster in the middle yet, the super letters, but everything else seems to be working just fine. So that means 5 more, and I'm done with all these lights, finally. But yeah, so far it's looking pretty good. The only one that's giving me trouble is that guy right there for some reason. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. But everything else is working.
If it is possible, it is done. If it is impossible, it will be done.
So here it is on test mode, and you can see all 5 lights at the bottom are flashing, in addition to all the other Yopsicles that I installed. So I'm going to flip the playfield over, and we'll see how it looks from the top. And finally, here it is. Fully armed and operational playfield. We have every single light blinking, all the pop bumpers, all the arrows and the super targets, all except that 1,000 bonus. So I need to do some forensics and figure out what's going on there. Probably something having to do with the connector in the lamp driver board. I did see an earlier video I shot where I was able to wiggle that socket and get it working. So I know some power is flowing there, or sometimes it is. I need to figure out why it's currently not. So that's on my to-do list. But otherwise, I think we're pretty much good to go. I can also install the plastics on the back corners. I didn't want to put those on while I was still lifting the playfield, but I think those are ready to go on now. So I'm just about wrapped up on this. Okay, let's go ahead and diagnose the one lamp that doesn't work. I did confirm that the wiring going to the socket and through the wiring harness is working, which kind of leads everything back to this lamp driver board here. We know from the official wiring schematic that up here, bonus 1K, which is the light that's not working, is connected to the Q4 SCR. And we know that that's on connector J1, pin 18. So let's start at that pin, and then we'll check Q14, the SCR. So I've got my multimeter here, and this is J1. Pin 18 is the one that's just below the gap. So if we put the multimeter on continuity mode, and here is Q14. I don't think you can see, you can see text just barely up there. But in continuity mode, if we put one lead on pin 18, so we have connectivity from the pin to the SCR. And then the SCR, we know, well, I know because I looked it up beforehand, but it should connect to resistor 14 over here. And we have connectivity there. So everything's good before and after this SCR. So let's go ahead and test the SCR and see if that's good. The way we're going to do that is we put the multimeter on diode test mode. And then we test a good one. We know all the rest of them are good because they all light up. It's just the bonus 1K that doesn't light up. So if I have the leads here, I have the red on the G, which I think is gate. And I have the black on C. I don't know what C stands for. But you can see on a good one, I get 0.6. And we can test a couple of them. Down here I get 0.6. Down here I get 0.6. Now if I go up to Q14 and I test that, I get nothing. Make sure I'm making contact here. But yeah, I get no reading on that one. And everything else gives me 0.6 like you would expect. So, stands to reason. Q14 is bad. So I'm going to take that off. And it will be getting replaced with one of these MCR 100s. They don't make this model of SCR anymore. But these MCRs are kind of the modern replacement. So I've heard online. We'll see if this works. I'm going to take that one off, put this one on. All right, I got the new MCR on there. So let's make sure we're getting the readings we expect from each leg. And I remember to set it to diode test. And we're getting 0.6 there. And if we reverse these, should get, I would expect to see 0.9 if we reverse them. Oh, there we go. 0.9. Nice. So, I think we're good. Actually, let me do a quick continuity. There we go. It's a little harder to find the leg now. Okay, we have continuity. We have the right voltages. I think it's time to fire it up and see if it works. Here it is, the result of all that hard work. All the lights are flashing. Looking pretty good. It's funny when I fixed the 1000, but when I first put the lamp board back in, the 9000 wasn't working. So I kind of freaked out and I was like, oh, did it burn out another SCR? So I took the lamp board off and took it back to my workbench. But when I checked the SCR for the 9000, it checked out just fine. So then I looked at the pin on the board for the one that corresponded to the 9000, and it had a little bit of corrosion on it. So I cleaned that pin up, and now it's working. So it was just a dirty pin. It wasn't making a good connection. And now everything's working. So yeah, I think I am just about done working on this game. It's pretty much 100% working. It's not the prettiest game in its current condition. But I think it'd be a really good option for a restoration, maybe a new play field. Definitely a cabinet paint job. Cabinet's pretty rough, but the back glass looks amazing. I mean, that's a perfect back glass right there. And it's got some new boards in it. It's got a bunch of Yopp, so the lights are nice and reliable. I think it plays really well too, so I think it's shaped up to be a really good game. It was a fun project. It was my first early Bally project. It's the first game I've ever worked on that has chimes, so that was kind of fun. Rebuilding the flippers, that was a challenge, but that turned out pretty well. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So I'll put a little gameplay footage here with everything fully working. And yeah, thanks for watching.